Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the greatest podcast in all of football.
Doing something different.
I am your host, TJ Riddell. Boy, do I have something to talk about. How about them dogs? Literally winning the national championship. Made a fool out of me. I deserve a clown emoji on my face. It is something I need to talk about. But SGF Kirk, take it away.
I don't care if you let how step. I don't care if you let how rip. I don't care if you let how step. I don't care if you let how rip. I got sauce, I got flavor. Get it, all this paper. I got sauce, I got flavor. Get it.
All right, everybody. So, welcome back to the PMP. I am in a somber mood today. Man, what a freaking blowout. You could just honestly tell from the very beginning of this game. And if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, y'all are completely blind or stupid because I'm talking about the national championship game. Now, this game was a very hyped game for many reasons. TCU hasn't had a national prominent stage since the 2011 Rose Bowl, which they won against Wisconsin with under Gary Patterson. And man, whew. They did well in the playoffs. They did well during the regular season. They had a phenomenal season. I went with my heart, and I went with TCU in this game. But I should have went with my knowledge in this game. I should have went with Georgia. I was going to pick Georgia, but I was so conflicted with my heart. My heart was telling me, you need to pick TCU because you're a Texas team. Blah, 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 blah. Don't listen to your heart in situations like this. The ultimate underdog taking on the ultimate favorite. I'm going to go 9 out of 10 times the ultimate favorite. It just so happens 1 out of 10 times happened last night where I went with TCU 48-41. Well, we're going to go over that game a bit. This is going to be a shorter video than what I've done in the last several weeks. But, man, what a fucking blowout. I mean, this was bad. I mean, it started off horribly for TCU. I mean, it starts off like this. Stetson Bennett and that offense looked good in that first half that I watched. I stopped watching in the third quarter, so I had to stop. It was bad. It was that bad of a national championship game. I'm actually glad that I didn't live stream the game and I had to go to work because of the fact that blowouts are not my go-to, my forte. I like to see competitive games. I like to see games like Florida State and Oklahoma where it's back and forth, where both teams are just going at it, you know. The Ohio State and Georgia game, that was awesome, you know. And what really grinds my gears is Alabama fans saying, ban TCU this, ban TCU that. Y'all didn't deserve to be in the playoff. Y'all lost to a team that lost to Texas A&M. That's enough for me to say y'all don't deserve that spot. Take for granted y'all beat Kansas State that beat TCU, but TCU beat Kansas State before Kansas State beat TCU. So that was irrelevant to what you just said. I honestly think Tennessee had a better shot at the playoff than what Alabama did. you know? But realistically, the national championship should have been Ohio State and Georgia. I'm going to say that right now. It should have been Ohio State and Georgia. The way Ohio State played Georgia, that was a national championship caliber game. That was mwah. Michigan just did not play well against TCU, and TCU took advantage of it. This game, though, the ultimate underdog versus the ultimate favorite. So I was watching the locker room walkouts, right? Georgia looked focused. They looked ready to kill. Okay. Kirby Smart is one of those extreme motivators that knows how to get a team fired up and knows how to get their team uh, up and at them in a game like this, in this magnitude. Meanwhile, you got TCU. They've had an incredible season. This is not bashing them. This is just the way I see it. They walked out of the locker room and they did not look focused. They didn't look. They looked like the brights were too light, and they just proved why the Big 12 did not belong in this playoff. And it's a shame that we have to talk like that, but it's true. And I hate talking bad about teams like TCU because they truly had a remarkable season, a surprising season at that. I mean, shout out to Coach Dykes for turning this team around in just one season, and they got 3 stars out of it from Alabama. So that's good for TCU. But this game right here, TCU gets the ball. I mean, nervous jitters already, and they go 3 and out. Then the ball goes to Georgia. Stetson Bennett runs a 21-yard read option for a touchdown. I mean, I'm actually kind of surprised how quick Stetson Bennett was compared to the linebackers at TCU. I thought TCU's linebackers were pretty fast, but man, Stetson Bennett really made them look stupid on that play. And then TCU, another 3 and out. Can't get anything going on offense. Georgia kicks a field goal, 10-0. Then TCU has a remarkable play caught by Davis, by the way, and goes into the Georgia Bulldog territory, and they run it in for a 2-yard touchdown with Max Duggan. Mind you, this is the only touchdown that TCU got at 4:50 left to play in the first quarter. Then TCU's defense looked tired already. They really did. Fucking Stetson Bennett looked amazing in this game. I say he's a good game manager, but he showed that he could just be more than a game manager. He could be a good runner. He could be anything that you could put his mind to, And the whole 25-year-old playing against 18-year-old, y'all need to shut the fuck up. Like, seriously. Because this guy is living his dream, just like Brandon Whedon was. I didn't hear the hate for Brandon Whedon, and he was a garbage-ass quarterback in the NFL. So I don't think Stetson Bennett is going to be a starter-capable quarterback in the NFL, but I think he'll be a really good backup. But then Stetson Bennett throws a 37-yard touchdown pass to Ladd McConkey, which this play right here irritated me because TCU didn't know what the fuck was going on. Their safety and Hodges Tomlinson were miscommunicating. The whole defense looked like they didn't know what the fuck they were doing on that play. And so Ladd McConkey gets open for a fucking beautiful pass in the end zone, makes it 17-7 at the end of the first quarter. Second quarter, Stetson Bennett runs his second touchdown, 6-yard run, makes it 24-7. Then Georgia picks the ball off. Max Duggan trying to make a big play, which honestly, TCU shouldn't have tried to make big plays. What they should have tried to do was run the ball with DeMarcado more, which they were doing pretty well with him running the ball. They just didn't give enough touches for him, in my opinion. But they did. Georgia's defense stepped up in this game. So Kendall Milton, they drive down the field, and Kendall Milton gets his first touchdown of the game, makes it 31-7. Then Stetson Bennett throws a 22-yard touchdown pass to Adonai Mitchell, makes it 38-7 at the half. This is where I kind of debated on should I decide to just turn the game off, because I'm already getting tired of watching this game. It's getting a blowout. Then I just remember the Oregon and TCU game. I'm like, okay, maybe TCU can come back and win this game. That wasn't the case at all. Brock Bowers, he was a fucking beast too. He killed the TCU defense. He gets a touchdown reception, 22-yard, beautiful 22-yard touchdown reception to make it 45-7. Then another touchdown reception for Ladd McConkey. 14-yard touchdown pass from Stetson Bennett. Scores 52-7. We haven't seen TCU get beat the fuck up like this season. If anything, they're beating the fuck out of people like this. So, fourth quarter rolls around. Stetson Bennett gets a standing ovation, which he deserved a standing ovation. He had a phenomenal game. And I know there's a lot of hate on Stetson Bennett, that he's not the best quarterback in the country. We didn't understand why he was a Heisman favorite. Apparently, in championship play, he plays like a fucking Heisman. And I'll go over his stat here in a little bit. Then in the fourth quarter, Brandon Walker from Barstool Sports mentions on Twitter, their second team looks better than their first team. And that's fucking scary, because Georgia may not lose another game for the next 4 years, according to Brandon Walker. So Branson Robinson is the last Georgia Bulldog to score points, but he scores 2 touchdowns. A 1-yard run for a touchdown makes it 59-7. Then he runs a 19-yard run for a touchdown, makes it 65-7, but they missed the field goal. I mean, this is bad. This is bad for viewership. This is bad for attendance. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter mid-game for attendance or viewership, but once you see that fucking viewership go down a little bit on TV because TCU's down by 58 points, that's when you start going, we got to make changes around here. And I'm glad they're finally going with the 12-team playoff. I just wish it was this year, this coming up year, not next year. But your final score, 65-7. This was the largest margin of victory in a national championship or in a bowl game in history. It couldn't happen to a bet. It couldn't have happened to a team like TCU. I mean, I never thought this game would go this south real quick. I don't think anybody thought this game would go south this quick. That second quarter was just fucking crazy. And y'all have every right to go on the chat right now. I'm giving y'all an opportunity. This is the first time since a long time since we had the chat online for the top chat. And y'all get to roast the fuck out of me. Roast me, because I deserve it. I said TCU would win 48-41. I went with my fucking heart over my knowledge. Okay? I'm never going to make that same mistake again. I went with my heart over knowledge. The Texas A&M versus LSU game, I went with my knowledge. The TCU taking on Michigan, I went with my knowledge over heart. This game was different. I went with my heart over knowledge. And that's not what you're supposed to do if you're trying to pick the best team in that game. You're supposed to go with knowledge. You're supposed to go with the best possible outcome. And your knowledge is supposed to be there. I went with my heart. I went with what my heart was telling me, not with what my knowledge was telling me. My knowledge was saying Georgia is going to beat up TCU, but not to this magnitude. I thought it was going to be like a 38-14 win for Georgia. But you could just fucking tell TCU was just not there. And I don't get what's going on in DFW right now. Fucking TCU did not play. Fucking Dallas did not play. I honestly think this game was more of Georgia just imposing their will than Washington beating Dallas the way they did. I just think Dallas didn't show up in that game. This game was different. It was both TCU didn't play and Georgia imposed their fucking will, and they did it in such fashion that it was record breaking. Back-to-back champions, and also the largest margin of victory in a bowl game and in a national championship in the college football playoff national championship era. So we're gonna go over some stats for this time around. We're gonna actually go talk about the impact players and also pretty much all the players that were playing in this game. Like I said, I stopped watching midway through the third quarter. I didn't think Kirby Smart was going to let up, but I thought there was going to be less points. Hell no. Georgia absolutely whooped the fuck out of TCU in this game. Let's start off with the TCU side. Max Duggan he was pretty accurate for the most part, but he threw 2 interceptions. He didn't throw any touchdown passes, obviously. Another game where it just wasn't his game at all. 14 for 22, 152 yards. He averaged 7 yards a pop, 2 interceptions, and his QBR was 49.2. This is where this is excuse me. This is shocking to me. Okay. Yeah, I needed a Dr. Pepper to talk about this. Imari DeMarcado, 14 carries, 59 yards, average 4.2 yards a carry. 10 yards was his longest run. Imani Bailey, 2 carries, 9 yards. Whatever. Max Duggan. Okay, you expect him to have some yards in this game, rushing. 10 carries. Negative 38 yards in this game. I mean, Georgia did exactly what I thought they were supposed to do in this game. Max Duggan as a key intricate part of that TCU offense, and they needed to focus on Max Duggan because they got gashed by CJ Stroud, who's not really known for his legs like Max Duggan. So they did a really good job imposing their will on Max Duggan, even though he did score a touchdown. But later on in the game, they just sacked. They were sack, and they were able to get him into the backfield. I mean, it was bad. It was bad watching this game. But Darius Davis, 5 receptions, 101 receiving yards. His longest was that 60-yarder. It was incredible, that play. Jared Wiley only had 2 receptions, 14 yards, which I did say he was going to be a key factor in this game. Quentin Johnston. This kid did not get a whole lot of touches in this game. 1 reception, 3 yards. 1 reception, 3 yards. He is a key part of that offense. Georgia's defense, Will Muschamp and Kirby Smart absolutely stepped it up in this game when it came down to wide receivers. Tay Barber was nowhere to be found. 1 reception, 8 yards. This was bad. And then Darius Davis did fumble early on in the game, but really TCU just couldn't get anything going on offense, and it was credited to Will Muschamp and Kirby Smart in that game. But I mean, there was Tabitha Barkley, welcome to welcome to the live stream, and yeah, go Dogs. I mean, they absolutely deserved it. They walloped TCU in this game, and yeah, I agree. Georgia should retire the number 13 because of the fact that Stetson Mailman Bennett came through for Georgia 2 years in a row, and half of y'all's fan base got angry at me for saying that he was a good game manager. It was meant as a compliment, okay? But I see now why y'all got mad at me, and I do apologize for that. I am sorry I did not pick Georgia. Now let's talk about the man himself, Stetson Mailman Bennett. Absolute dog and the PMP national championship MVP, in my opinion. Stetson Bennett, 18 for 25, 304 passing yards. Big 12 numbers, by the way, Tabitha. So don't get mad at me for saying that, but it is Big 12 numbers. 12.2 yards per average, 4 touchdowns, no interceptions. His QBR was a 99.5, which is really good, and especially in the national championship against a 3-3-5 defense. Now, Carson Beck, he came in after Stetson Bennett got that massive standing ovation, which he definitely deserved that standing ovation. I am going to tell you right now, if you can lead your team, it doesn't matter if you're doing well or if you're doing poorly. But if you could go back to the dance twice in a row and dominate the way you did both years, I mean, that's kudos to you, man. Stetson Bennett, man, good on him. Carson Beck, 2 for 3, 31 yards. He also had a 99.9 QBR. Now, I'm pretty interested to see what Georgia's going to do offensively. Like, what are they going to do with Stetson Bennett going to be gone? Is his replacement going to be good? Is his replacement? I want Georgia fans to let me know. I mean, y'all can follow me on Twitter on let me tell y'all my my official Twitter real quick. Go on Twitter, add me at TJRid10, and y'all could bash me for picking TCU over Georgia. Y'all could tell me the recruiting trail for Georgia. Georgia's got the number 2 recruiting class in the country, and that says a lot about Kirby Smart and the way he is able to bring in high quality players. And Stetson Bennett is a real feel good story for Georgia and college football in general. And I shouldn't have doubted Georgia in this game after playing a really good game against Ohio State, which they struggled. I'm not going to lie. They struggled at the beginning of this game against Ohio State. But they came out with a game plan against TCU, and they absolutely did what they were supposed to do against TCU. Now, we're done with the quarterbacks. Now, the rushing game. Nobody broke over 100, but it was really well balanced, and it was a total of 44 carries, 254 yards, and 5 touchdowns. Oh, excuse me. Kenny McIntosh, I thought he was going to get a touchdown in this game, but he didn't. Instead, he had 8 carries, 50 yards, 6.3 yards per average, and a 13-yard run was his longest run. Branson Robinson, I really see a good future with this guy. I think he's going to be a good key to Georgia's offense next season. 7 carries, 42 yards, 2 touchdowns in this game for him. Stetson Bennett, 3 carries, 39 yards, 2 touchdowns. And then you got Kendall Milton, 10 carries, 33 yards. He's just your bruiser type. You know, he loves contact. He'll just drive it down your throat, you know. And 10 carries, 33 yards, 1 touchdown. Dejoun Edwards. I hope I said that right, guys. I hope I said that right. 5 carries, 30 yards. I mean, you have pretty much 6 players. Even Savon Clark, five carries, 35 yards. Pretty much 6 players that went over 30 yards in the backfield, including Stetson Bennett. Now, Brock Bowers, he is the number 1 tight end in the country for a reason. 7 receptions, 152 yards, 1 touchdown. His longest reception was a 35-yarder. Lad McConkey, he had a terrific game. 5 receptions, 88 yards, 2 touchdowns, and 37 yards was his longest reception. It was that touchdown reception. Darnell Washington, 1 reception, 28 yards. Adonai Mitchell, 1 reception, 22 yards, and 1 touchdown. His longest was a 22-yard. Kiaris Jackson, 1 reception, 20 yards. Dejoun Edwards, 2 receptions, 12 yards. Dylan Bell, 1 reception, 11 yards. Arian Smith, 1 reception, 3 yards. And Kenny McIntosh, 1 for -1 yards. I mean, the way Georgia played offensively was beautiful. It was about as beautiful as you could get as a Georgia offense. I mean, they did not have any turnovers. They forced turnovers, which was a key part of Georgia's game plan that I thought needed to happen, and they excelled at it with 3 forced turnovers. Javon Bullard recovered that fumble that Darius Davis had for TCU. But yeah, I mean, this fucking defense that Georgia had was just incredible. Javon Bullard had the 2 interceptions as well. He was lights out defensively. He should have been the defensive player of the game, in my opinion, for Georgia, or in the entire game, really, because TCU did not show up to play. Nobody on TCU showed up to play, and it showed at the very beginning in the locker room. So, I mean, the hype was there for that game. I mean, I honestly thought this was going to be a closer game. My knowledge was right, my heart was wrong. I went with my heart. I'm wrong. So, Georgia fans, feel free to bash me on TikTok or whatever you have me on. This was a fucking natural disaster. This was a game that you needed to call Child Protective Services because Georgia put a ass whooping. I mean, they whooped the shit out of TCU and they made them their child. So again, congratulations to the Georgia Bulldogs, first national championship team to win back-to-back championships since the 2011-2012 Alabama Crimson Tide. Now, this is where I come in and I talk about my bowl records. Okay? I'm going to talk about my bowl records real quick. And yeah, so I didn't exactly write it down, which is on me, so bear with me. Well, we'll get to that later on. But I got to say, this was a phenomenal season. I'll go over the bowl records. I'll go over the overall record that I have for this season as my predictions record, which I think I did pretty well. Bowl season, I am terrible with. I am terrible with bowl season. I don't know what it is. I just can't do well in bowl season. Playoffs, I did really well at first, but then I went 2-1, thanks to TCU, and They couldn't get over the big lights. Georgia just came out and obliterated them. Um, what to expect from the PMP after the college football season? Well, we're going to talk about recruiting a little bit. We're going to talk about what players are going to be in the NFL draft, and we will have our draft special. With that being said, this will be our second annual draft special. It'll be me, my co-host K-Dub, who comes on here, and I might have some other guests like Booby Miles and Coach Eric Martin. And if there's anybody that knows anybody in the sports world as far as football that has played in college or in the NFL or is a legend in your state in high school football, they can come on to the PMP. I don't care if it's Herschel Walker. I don't care if it's anybody. Anybody is more than welcome to come on. I'll interview them, and we'll talk about their differences of their game to this game, in today's game. So I am really excited to cap this season off with me getting bashed by Georgia fans. Y'all deserve to bash me. I am a clown for picking TCU over Georgia. I went with my heart, and I deserve the ridicule. I deserve it all. And I doubted Stetson Mailman Bennett, or Matt B. the Great says Stetson DoorDash Bennett, which I think I kind of like that name more. DoorDash sounds like a hell of a nickname, better than Mailman, But I mean, Stetson Bennett earned a lot of respect yesterday or last night, and man, what a fucking ass whooping! I just could not believe the amount of hype that went into this game just to see an ass whooping. And I'm actually glad that we didn't see teams like Texas and Oklahoma in the national championship like that, because the Big 12 is starting to look mediocre, and I'm glad Texas and OU is going to the SEC. And I see Texas and Oklahoma stealing recruits from Jimbo Fisher's dumbass, and Texas A&M, and also Missouri. I mean, it's only a matter of time where Alabama and Georgia is going to be in the same division. I don't know if it's going to be pods where Alabama, Auburn, and Tennessee and Vanderbilt are in one, and then you see Georgia, South Carolina, Florida, and damn, I can't think of the other school. Wow. But anyway, I mean, there's just a lot of shit going on right now in the college football world that's not being talked about, which in the offseason, we will talk about that shit. Transfer portal. I will start doing the transfer portal, start grading teams that did well in the transfer portal who sucked in the transfer portal, which you fans out there know who I'm talking about. And they're both hated by me. And they hate me because I speak the truth about their teams. I said that Oklahoma was going to have a down year. Look what happened. They went 6-7, first losing season since Bob Stoops' first year in 1998. Texas A&M, first losing season since 2009. And it's so funny when I get A&M fans so riled up about that shit too. And I prove them right again. And I did say Bobby Petrino is going to go to fucking A&M as an offensive coordinator. But oh no, A&M fans don't want to listen. They don't listen to logic. They're fucking idiots. Well, most of them. I know there's some out there that actually know what I'm talking about, and they actually agree with me with some of the shit I say. But I prove them wrong again. So normally I'm not this wrong, and I hate being this wrong. But Georgia fans, Tabitha Barkley, thank you for coming on. And I am sorry for not picking Georgia. I should have went with my instinct and my gut feeling and my knowledge, but instead I went with my heart and what I wanted. And what I wanted is not going to translate onto the field because Georgia's just a whole different beast. And I tried not to hear it. I didn't want to hear it because I wanted the Cinderella story to happen. Who doesn't want a Cinderella story to happen? I mean, Georgia fans, you can agree with me on that. Even though you just won the national championship, rightfully so. Y'all are truly the best team in the country. I said that from day one. Uh, why I picked against you is because I wanted TCU to win. It wasn't that I thought they could win. Even though I said I think TCU could beat Georgia, it was I wanted TCU to win. It wasn't my actual thought that TCU could beat Georgia, but I wanted TCU to win, and I made it that prediction, and I was terribly wrong. This was probably the most wrong I have ever been on this podcast. And I am sorry, Georgia fans. Clown face, crying Jordan, everything in between. I have never been so wrong in my entire life. And it goes to show I am a clown. But I really thank you guys for keeping up with college football this season here on the Pigskin Mafia podcast. I really enjoyed talking about the college football season, and we were able to sustain a whole season this time around. The PMP is 2 years old. It just turned two not too long ago, about 6 days ago. And we have accomplished a lot for such a short time. And now we're getting Georgia fans on the podcast, commenting, go dogs, and giving the respect that Stetson Bennett does deserve that nobody, including myself, thought he deserved, But he deserves it, man. He really, truly does deserve that entire standing ovation and everything in between. Before I get off here, I just want to thank everybody. Oh, excuse me. I just want to thank everybody that chooses the PMP as their college football or NFL platform. I know I haven't been really on there for the NFL, but I've been on it for college football. Mainly because college football is my world. It is my knowledgeable entity. And I just fairly enjoy watching college football more, And it's great that we're seeing NIL deals with players, and it's finally starting to look like the NIL rules are starting to come into play. I mean, I get it. There's still some frustration with the NIL. Like Michigan, they're dealing with NIL infractions, and now the NCAA is stepping up, and it looks like Jim Harbaugh might be leaving, even though he said he's not. But like I said, man, I enjoyed each and every one of y'all. It doesn't matter if y'all hate me or love me. It does not matter. Whether if my takes are wrong for you or your team, or if my takes are right about your team, I fairly enjoy seeing fans out there that fairly enjoy football that want to watch the PMP, and it means a lot for me that we're starting to expand a little bit. Now we got Georgia fans on here, and just right after the national championship, and they choose the PMP to listen to what this bozo has to say about Georgia stomping the team that he picked, And I really appreciate that, And um, it does mean a lot having people that choose the PMP over Undisputed and all these other shows, the Joel Klatt show, and all that. So I really do appreciate you guys coming on here, and I really enjoy you guys putting your input out there and actually taking the time to uh, disagree or agree with my takes. So I really do appreciate you guys for coming on here and watching this video, even if it's on the live or after the live, and you give your thoughts, And I really would love some feedback, So thank you guys for watching. And we are the greatest podcast in football history that is not known and will be known eventually. And we are the cream of the crop in all of podcasting. It doesn't matter if it's fucking football, baseball, wrestling. It doesn't matter. We put in the fucking work. Y'all deliver. We just provide the information and our thoughts. So I thank you very much, SGF Kirk. Goodbye and good night. Bang!
Hey, pipe up, Hood Rich. Doing something different, and I had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. Doing something different, and I had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. My chopper hit, my chopper hit, my 48 hit, my 48 hit. I don't care if you let how I step, I don't care if you let how I rip, I don't care if you let how I step, I don't care if you let how I rip. I got sauce, I got flavor, getting all this paper. I got sauce, I got flavor, getting all this paper. Plain Jane Paddock on my motherfucking wrist. They notice every time when I walk up in this bitch. Post on walk up in this bitch, keep my Glock up in this bitch. Post on walk up in this bitch, keep my Glock up in this bitch. My chopper hit, my chopper hit, my 48 hit, my 48 hit. I don't care if you let how I step, I don't care if you let how I rip, I don't care if you let how I step, I don't care if you let how I rip. Doing something different, and I had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. Doing something different, and I had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. This shit is exciting, do it with our right team. My style, they biting, I'm striking like lightning. I'm bagging this bitch, I'm talking my shit. I'm bagging this bitch, I'm talking my shit. I'm about to get on your ass, I'ma just count me some cash. I'm about to get on your ass, I'ma just count me some cash. Doing something different, man, I had to switch it up. Turned up in my section, every night we live it up. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck. All my haters mad, but I don't give a fuck.